Decoding Rumi's Masnavi by Pirjan. How the Mouse Pulled the Camel's Nose Ring. In earlier discussions, we dealt with love and the technical and fundamental issues in Rumi, such as love determinism, and talked about the determinism and free will. The discussion of love is so complicated, and one is embarrassed by it. At this meeting, we will also discuss the issues of love. The present story is selected from the second book of the Masnavi. How the mouse pulled the rope attached to the camel's nose ring and became self-conceited. A little mouse caught in his forelegs a camel's leading rope, and from emulation went off with it. By reason of the readiness with which the camel set out along with him, the mouse was duped into thinking himself a hero. The ray of his thought struck the camel. The camel said aside, "I will show thee presently. Enjoy thyself." All went well till the mouse came back to the bank of the great river, at which any lion or wolf would have lost heart. There the mouse stopped and became paralysed. The camel said, "O my companion over the hill and plain, what is this standing still for? Why art thou dismayed? Step forward like a man, go into the river. Thou art my guide and leader. Don't halt midway and be dumbfounded." He, the mouse, said, "This is a huge and deep river. I am afraid of being drowned, O comrade." Said the camel, "Let me see the limit depth of the water." And he quickly set foot in it. "The water," he said, "is only up to the knee. O blind mouse, wherefore didst thou become dismayed and lose thy wits?" The mouse replied, "It is as an ant to you, but to me it is a dragon, for there are differences between one knee and another." "If it is only up to your knee, O excellent one, it is 100 ells higher than the crown of my head." He, the camel, said, "Another time, do not behave so boldly, lest thy body and soul be consumed by these sparks. Contend with mice like thyself. A mouse has nothing to say to a camel." The mouse said, "I repent. For God's sake, get me across this deadly water." The camel took pity. "Hark," said he, "jump up and sit on my hump. This passage has been vouchsafed to me. I would take across hundreds of thousands like thee." Rumi assumes some things the manifestation of reality and others the manifestation of thought. In this story of the Masnavi, the mouse represents the mind and the camel symbolizes human nature. One of the reasons for Rumi's selection of the camel is the high patience and tolerance of this animal. Patience is a symbol of nature, and hastiness is that of thought. If we have reached the present era from the earliest form of human life, it is due to human thought, without which we might have remained in the same early stages of caving. If we think first and then act upon it, we will achieve more, but without that thought controls our existence, we will be abandoned. We have no objection to the high human thoughts that have made them successful, but the camel of human existence has reached a river that it itself a symbol of life. In our comfort of mind, it carries and controls our existence. But today has reached a point where one side is the past and the other is the future. The river itself is a symbol of the present moment, and it is in this river that the mind fails to go on and the nature and the originality of the human being enter the water. Rumi warns that you want to come to an understanding of the meaning through the thought which is greater than the thought itself. It is here that the thought sinks and fails. The moment cannot be understood by the thought. The thought operates within the past and future as well knowledge and memories. No matter how much knowledge we have, we cannot understand the sense of being a parent, and the mind just plays on words. If we have not been in love, we cannot understand the person who is in love, even if we have been the most prominent author of the romance. One of the points that the mind cannot understand is the moment. Where the mind itself has created problems, it cannot solve them. Parenthood and love cannot be understood by the mind. Mysticism generally deals with the mysteries among the issues it raises. A mystic is not a scientist. Among these mysteries are peace, eternal happiness, and momentary understanding. They have attained unity in intuition and see the world collapsing and recreating every moment. Mystics, of course, never seek to persuade everyone through reasoning to follow them, but merely declare that there is a truth and that they can show a way to the truth. You cannot step into the same river twice. If one moment is lost, the next moment comes, which is itself another life. The world is constantly changing, and we imagine that the world is a continuum because there is a continuum in time. Many philosophers have attempted to express mystical views by reasoning, including Mullasadra, who brought about some rational reasoning for the inner intuitions. Mystical intuition emphasizes introspection and observation without argument in any instance. This river has a different shape every time, and there are no repeats. The mind cannot understand some spiritual issues. Even if we could find a true friend somewhere, it would not be able to analyze it. Friendship or love are not just some images that the mind can elicit from relationships. They cannot be understood without a personal experience. Knowledge is a tool in human life. To relate to all phenomena, we need the knowledge to apply them. Rumi in the Masnavi is to provide us with a tool of experience to understand the moment. Life collapses at any moment, and a new life is created. If one does not believe this, mysticism does not insist on imposing it. Mysticism is not a religion believing in punishment. Today we know that happiness is in our hands, so is peace. Understanding this fact is possible when we do not object or criticize. Since you are not a prophet, go on the road, that one day you may come from the pit to spiritual place and power. Be a vassal since you are not a lord. Do not steer the boat yourself, since you are not the boatman. Since you are not spiritually perfect, do not take a shot by yourself alone. Be pliant to the hand, in order that you may become leavened like dough. Once Abu Hanifa was passing through an alley. One of the guys was playing the game wrongly. The Imam warned him, yet he replied that, "If I make a mistake, I will mislead myself, but if you make one, you will mislead a nation." When we come to the fact that the mouse is not able to enter the river of life, the gates of existence open to us. The universe is intelligent, and it is enough for us to open our eyes to it. On this path, consciousness should be our guide. Consciousness begins when our own desires do not interfere with the understanding of truth. When this happens, such abilities as wisdom in the human will come to life. Knowledge is through studying, but wisdom is not in studying, and consciousness must be beyond human path. There is a story in the Masnavi that refers to Mufti's turban. The Muftis used to put expensive silk and cloth in their turbans. The larger the turban, the higher the scholarship of the Mufti's financial standing. Once a thief decided to steal a Mufti's turban, but the Mufti's turban was made and full of cheap fabrics because his status was humble. He had filled it with cheap fabrics in order for others to think he was a great man. While the thief was carrying the turban, the Mufti yelled, "This turban has no value. Look inside first, and then take it." The thief is a symbol of a man who, in darkness and ignorance, intends to achieve without contemplation. Give ear to the divine command, keep silence. Be mute, since you have not become the tongue mouthpiece of God. Be an ear. And if you speak, speak in the form of a request for explanation. Speak to the spiritual emperors as a lowly beggar. The beginning of a pride and hatred is inwardly lust, and the rootedness of the lust is from habit. There is a big difference between desire and quest, and it is the great point of the present story. Desire is one of the indicators of thought. Quest rises from the human nature. On the day when the human is born, the mind is not active, but there is a lust for life. There is a lust for life for human without any thought or will. Desires relate to the realm of thought. There is no wish not present in the realm of thought. If one does not know anything, one can interpret Avicenna. So, our wish is based on what we know. Mysticism cannot be promoted with an active thought. No individual guide can help such a human being. The first sign of a true guide is the lack of expectation. no one must be assumed as flawless. Shams Tabrizi was working and did not take money from anyone. Good and evil in the mirror are from us, thus we should not spit on it. Habits take place in two stages, external and internal. Sometimes a person gets used to certain thoughts. The ideas that the family and society impose make us accustomed to them, like slavery, which one has accepted. When an evil disposition becomes confirmed by habit, you are enraged with anyone who restrains you. After you become an eater of clay, anyone who restrains you from eating clay is your enemy. Since idolaters are accustomed to the idol, they are foes to them that stop the way to the idol. Since Iblis has become accustomed to being leader, he looked on Adam with disbelief and denial, saying, "Is there another leader superior to me, so that he should be worshipped by one like me?" Leadership is a poison, except to the spirit that from the beginning hath in himself abundance of the antidote. If the mountain is full of snakes, have no fear, for it is a mine of antidote within. If we get into the realm of habit and thought, we become confined, and if we deal with an individual guide, we deny them. Mysticism suggests that the world is much bigger than our desires and habits. As long as we get used to habits, we will not be able to escape and reach consciousness. The issue of consciousness is a human priority, and the word that guides utter causes the heart to tremble. The guide separates us from habits. Satan had become accustomed to ruling and denied the word of God to praise human being. When leadership has become a bosom friend to your brain, anyone who breaks you becomes an ancient adversary. When anyone contradicts your disposition, many feelings of hatred against them arise you. He is tearing me, you say, from my ingrained disposition. He is making me a pupil and follower of himself. Unless the evil disposition has become strongly implanted, how should the fire temple of passion blaze up through being opposed? He may show some feigned courtesy to the opponent. He may make a place for himself in heart. But he really hates him, because the evil disposition has waxed strong. The ant of worldly lust has through habit become as a snake. Kill the snake of lust at the beginning, else, look you, your snake has become a dragon. But every one deems his own snake as an ant. And do you then seek the explanation of yourself, your real state, from him that is Lord of the heart? Until copper becomes gold, it does not know itself to be copper. Until the heart becomes a king, it does not know itself to be an insolvent. Do service to the elixir, like copper, endure oppression, O heart, from him that holds the heart in fee. Who is it that holds the heart in fee? Know well, it is the lords of the heart who, like day and night, are recoiling from the world. Do not find fault with the servant of God. Do not suspect the king of being a thief. If one does not understand the inside, the mind will criticize mysticism. We should not deceive ourselves, because then there will be no chance of liberation. When one is captured by the moral villain, they lose the chance of knowing nature. If we are on the path of mysticism, we should know that someone who is thirsty for the truth and claims not to be helped is certainly lying. The universe is intelligent and helps the one in need. Until many virtues are acquired and vices are eliminated, there is an inner connection with the universe. No prayers solve all problems. We need to know that it is the word that makes the difference. The human's habits are not their nature. It has nothing to do with ethics. The existential effects of thought and ideology produce different functions in humans, and we will not succeed in these conditions. If we follow these guidelines in practical life, we will achieve salvation. To understand the Masnavi, one has to put aside the habits and take the word of guidance seriously. There will be no progress when there is no faith and inner intuition, and the habits function as addicting drugs within us. One must put aside the habits to take the next steps.